Okay, I'm picking up at line 702. Line 659. Of good, how just? Of evil, if what is evil be real, why not known, since easier shunned? That's an interesting point. Satan is playing on two meanings of knowledge: abstract intellectual knowledge and then knowledge through experience. So we can illustrate this with the idiot that you might have met that said, well, how do you know drugs are bad if you haven't tried them? Right? Smart people don't need to try everything to know the difference between what is stupid and what is intelligent. In the same way, Eve might not know directly through experience what evil is, but she knows that God said not to eat the fruit, and she knows that to eat the fruit would be evil. And so she knows enough. Okay, she hasn't experienced it directly, and he's confusing her by using this equivocal meaning of the word knowledge or known. Okay, and then what comes next is dizzying sophistry, which is the misapplication of logic and reason. And we don't have time to break it all apart, but just let's just look at all the contradictions and how confusing his rhetoric is here. God therefore cannot hurt ye and be just, not God. Not feared then, nor obeyed. Your fear itself of death removes the fear. Now, what if Eve just stopped him and said, hold on a second, my fear of death removes the fear? I don't think that makes sense. It reminds me of something FDR said around the time of World War II. He says, there's nothing to fear but fear itself. What about rabies? And, skin rashes, right? Okay, anyway. Why then was this forbid? Why but to awe? Why but to keep ye low and ignorant, his worshippers? He knows that in the day ye eat thereof, your eyes that seem so clear, yet are but dim, shall perfectly be then opened and cleared, and ye shall be as gods, knowing both good and evil as they know. This reminds me of Paul's letter to the Corinthians, where he says, though now we see as in a mirror darkly, but then in the resurrection we shall see God directly and know him even as we are known. So this is contrary to Pauline doctrine, where Paul says that because of our sin nature, we don't see clearly. He promises that they shall be as gods, and maybe this is actually true, but not true in the way that she takes it. Again, maybe it is that God's goal was eventually through obedience, he would lead Adam and Eve to progress to the point where they would be allowed to eat from the tree and have a closer relationship with him. But at this point, they seem to not be prepared for it. So you shall be as gods, but the problem is they're not gods, they're humans. And so this mixing of a faculty that they're not equipped to handle with their human nature, which is not grown hardy enough or prepared enough through obedience and faithfulness, it ends up being destructive. And then look at this argument here, quite ingenious. That ye shall be as gods, since I as man, internal man, is but proportion meet. I of brute human, ye of human gods. So I was just a little snake running around eating grass, and I eat the fruit, and now look at me. Look at how smart I am. My body is still the same, but now I can carry on these witty conversations. What's going to happen to you, Eve? You're so much higher than me. You're going to be a god. So this is a logical progression. But the problem is, we know that the serpent didn't actually eat the fruit. That's not why the serpent's talking. The serpent is talking because it's Satan, an angelic being, has possessed him. And so this is worth talking about the problem of human knowledge. From Eve's point of view, it seems like the serpent is telling the truth, but that's the problem. She is a creature, a created being, and she'd be safe if she, on faith, obeyed the things that God told her, because she does not have an autonomous source of knowledge to know everything. The same way with parents and children. Parents tell children not to do certain things, and the children think it's stupid. The parents don't always take the time to explain, well, if you do this thing I told you not to do, you will be seriously injured, right? So this is very much an accurate representation of Eve's perspective. From her limited knowledge, it seems like everything the serpent is saying is true, but we know that it's not. Though threatened, which no worse than this can bring, and what are gods that man may not become as they, participate in godlike food? The gods are first, and that advantage use on our belief that all from them proceeds. I question it. Satan actually said this to himself, and it seemed like he believed it earlier when he was confronted by Abdiel, if you remember that part. He said, I don't remember being created. I'm pretty sure I made myself. Here, he's saying, all things don't come from God. Look at stuff is just shooting out of the ground. Earth is making stuff. The gods don't make everything. He knows that that's not true. Down here. What can knowledge hurt him, or this tree impart against his will, if all be his? Like, why would he put it here if he didn't want you to eat it? Or is it envy? And can envy dwell in heavenly breasts? Yeah. That's why Satan got kicked out of heaven. It's also kind of a fun little allusion to the Aeneid, where Virgil in the opening invocation says, "Can such wrath be to the gods?" So that's a fun little tidbit for you. Causes import your need. So again, he's making her unsatisfied of this fair fruit. God is humane, reach then and freely taste. Again, this is going to lead to freedom, but it's actually not, right? She's going to be enslaved to herself, enslaved to a sin nature.